That's the kind of house I grew up in. Just your regular 3 bedroom, kitchen, living room. That was it. We only had one bath. I'd like to have a second bath, but
Well, you wouldn't want it to be in suburbia either, though.
no, 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 no. I think I'd just myself if I had to live in town along
Well,
with the
that's a
neighbors.
bit dramatic.
Uh, well, don't take it literally. I'd become a recluse for sure. Either
Yeah,
that or never be home.
true.
No, I couldn't deal with the city or suburbia life anymore. I just couldn't do it. My personal habits would conflict with rules and regulations.
Yeah.
I've watched quite a few videos about um, people who sell out and they move and they buy homesteads in Italy and France and stuff like that. And
That's
they,
expensive.
they refurbish, not all of it. They
Really?
refurbish old rundown places, and yeah, it can be expensive depending on um, how much work needs to be done to the place. But I Spain and Italy, some of those places, and that $1 euro thing, that's a real thing. You pay $1 for a house, but you got to fix it up
Hmm.
just to get the people to come into town again because so many of them have left, towns and these
Well, a lot of,
old,
yeah, a lot of them are
old
older
towns.
people, really have newer generations coming in.
But I mean, just the scenery and the
Oh,
architecture and man, amazing.
yeah, yeah, that's not
I would
comparable.
love, I watched so many of them that I've subscribed to on YouTube about they bought chateaus and castles and they're refurbishing them, Amazing. I would volunteer. Just feed me
Just to
and put a
help.
roof over my head
Yeah,
and I'll help. That's all.
yeah.
You don't have to pay me. I don't care. Just feed me and keep me clothed and warm. And I'll help. Some of these places are just fantastic. But the work, oh my God, the work and
Yeah.
what all's involved with it, updating alone, you know, crazy. But a lot of surprises they find walled up rooms and stuff they didn't even know were there, finding
Really?
stuff from the 16th century when the house was built and stuff like that. It's just incredible. That shit always
Wow.
fascinated me.
I watch a lot of the abandoned places.
Yeah, yeah,
So
me
like
too.
the old man when they're like in the middle of a forest or something, I'm like,
Some of
can
these places,
you imagine just going for a walk in the woods, thinking you're on a normal trail or something, and all of a sudden there's this big Victorian home right in your view, like in front of you, and you're like, what the like I would shit my pants. I'd be like, all right, we got to get out of here because I don't know what that is. Uh,
well, yeah, but then if
but I'd
you
want to
like
be
the
it, like about
like
it
these
too.
urban explorers, if you go in there, like in France and Italy and all across Europe, basically, you
Hmm.
go into these places, everything is still there.
Hmm.
From the 16th and 1700s, they're still there. Why did why is it just left to rot? It just doesn't make
It's
sense.
yeah, it doesn't.
The antiques and the paintings and some of the tapestry on the walls that are just rotting away. Just unbelievable.
It's just people that don't have the ability and or care enough to do it.
Yeah,
That's
but if their family owns it, take those antiques and sell the damn things
yeah, but that
rather
takes
than just let them
time.
sit and rot.
That takes time to go through it all and stuff like that. I know a person that was talking to last night for a while. She actually has family from a small town in southern Illinois. And when her parents passed away, she had found her mom, unfortunately, was a bit of a hoarder and had a bunch of stuff, but she found some historical things related to that town.
No.
had she not been able to do, like that stuff would have just gone to whatever. And that shit's pretty important, you'd think,
Yeah.
So she said tintypes that old.
I'd like to travel the country though and find a good spot to just live. Just go all over the place. But by the time you did all that shit, it's time to die. So there's too much to see in this country.
Oh, wouldn't that kind of be the best part? By the time it's settled, that's when it's like, all right, I did it.
Yeah. Then you finally settle down and then you die. You don't even get time to enjoy that.
Yeah,
You
but you
have a
got
lot of
to
good memories
experience
though,
the
but
whole, yeah, you experience the whole world. And have you not been kind of settled your whole life already?
well, that's kind of like your aunt, when they took the motor home and went all over the place.
Hmm.
They were gone for how many months? So one
Yeah.
place I would really like to see before I die is the Grand Canyon. I'd really like to see that. Never been. I couldn't go with the boys when they went out there on their bikes, but
Mhm.
mainly because I didn't have a bike at the time. But that would have been fun.
Comedy. Do you think that there's any line that could be crossed there or limit to where it could go? That's been a huge deal, like with recent social and political bullshit going on right now. Comedians have kind of been pushed to the forefront of a lot of social aspects at this time. So it's kind of like, is there a line with it, or do you think, it's art, it's comedy, fuck it?
Now, if there were a line, I would say if it jokes about abuse of children, that would be a limit. Yeah, other than what I said, there's really no line. You know, if you can't make fun of people, then there's a problem. You know, good or bad. If you're left wing and cutting down the Republicans and it's funny, funny is funny. Period. You know, that's all there is to it, and vice
Yeah,
versa.
I think as long as it's funny. I think it steps over the line when it's not funny, it's just for shock value of that, right? Like
Well, see, that's not comedy then.
but people kind of make a charade of that.
Yeah, well, they
And
take
I'm
it the
not
wrong way.
really well, but I think that some comedians are super fucking lazy in their material too. They will kill a dead horse when it comes to any kind of trope or uh characteristics of a group of people that society believes about them
Oh,
that isn't
um,
necessarily always true. Sometimes it could be kind of true, but not.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs.
But
stereotype.
yes. So they like, they feed off of that's laziness. You know what I mean to me, but they do try to dress it up or they don't even try to dress it up sometimes. That's my point too. They just like it's almost like it's funny to have the shock value of it.
Yeah.
Like, but is it
To me,
though?
that's yeah. I know what you're saying, but that's not comedy, in my opinion. It's really not.
Right. Me
If
either.
if
That's
you
why I don't
you
think
can get up on stage and within 5 minutes have everybody hating you, so how is that comedy? You're there to have a good time and make fun of normal everyday situations or people or places. And if you can't, then it's not comedy and it's not fun anymore.
if
Yeah.
it's for shock value and there's not a lot of thought to it, then fuck off. But if there is
If you
more
want to make a
depth,
point about something, you should at least have context to it first. And then that way people will understand what you're making fun of or what your comments are about. which
Yeah,
she
because your
didn't do.
point's not made. Like you said, if you're
I'm not
trying
a
to make a point, your point's not made if they don't understand it. God, I swear I've had how many conversations in the past week of this, but it's one of those things where it's your friends don't tell you when you're fucking suck balls. You know what I mean? Like they always give you that false hope, that boost of confidence because they're your buddy. No,
Mhm.
motherfucker, if you're my buddy, you better tell me I suck at singing and I shouldn't be on stage for karaoke.
Yeah,
Period. Because now I look like an ass and I'm not drunk and I think I'm good. you know?
yeah,
Like, and everybody's cringing, like, God, get her off, get her off. No, I would never do that. That's never happened. But that's why, because I'm that person in the crowd, like, oh my God, she's embarrassing herself. Get off, get off. You know, I
yeah.
can't. I cannot. I could. That's part of why I couldn't watch a lot of those reality, like American Idol, and shit like that, because people don't give a fuck. And
I
sure, they deserve
that's
some of
all
the
for script.
embarrassment,
It's all for viewer
That,
crap.
yeah, 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 yeah. That
You know,
is
come
more,
on,
yeah.
to let somebody go through to even perform some of those things. Come on,
Mhm,
you know. So I could see nerves. Hell, I
mhm.
couldn't do a verbal book report in front of the class. Couldn't do it. I hated that. That was one of the worst things in school ever, is to have to do a verbal or an oral book report in front of the class. Hated it. I'm not a public speaker. It's kind of funny. You stop and think about it, though. I can't do um, presentations for a crowd type of thing, or a speaker. I couldn't do that, but I have no problem with confrontation, verbal confrontation. I have no problem with that at all.
Or a level of joy, I should say.
Well, that's because I
Yeah.
like to debate and argue.
Mhm. Oh, I know.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we do
Yeah.
the
What
same.
she said. Yeah. Yeah.
My last 3 years of high school, they were half days.
Because you were working or you had like a trade deal or
No, there were just so many students. They only had two high schools, and one, um, our freshman building, was 4 miles away from the other high school, and it wasn't big enough to hold all the students. We had multiple towns going. I mean, my graduating class was 1,500. That was my graduating class. It was so big, it had to be held over 2 days to get everybody in there. And that's not counting the ones that didn't go, like me. I didn't go. I didn't even go in to get my diploma. I I drove over there with my sister, and she went into the office and got my diploma for me. I wouldn't even go in. I was done. School's out forever. Alice Cooper.
Yeah, I felt that way when I graduated early, but I still walked across. I
Nah,
didn't go to prom though. Fuck that.
I didn't go to my prom. I went to one of your mom's and party afterwards. There was a party at my house when we got home. People were partying like crazy, music and the beers flowing.
Well, by that time, didn't you have your own place?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I was
Well,
not a social butterfly. I didn't go to school functions and things.
man.
I didn't partake in sports. I did my freshman year. That didn't work out, and I never tried again. We used to go to the football games just to party in the parking lot, meet all the friends, from school and stuff. Just meet up
Mhm.
in the parking lot at the football game and have fun. But I never went in to see a football game played. But I never really had a large circle of friends, maybe 10 people, give or take, at any given time that we seen on a regular basis.
Well, that's a pretty big group of friends.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they weren't all at the same time, but unless, of
I don't
course, we
even
had
think
a
I
party.
talked to that many people. Friends,
Yeah.
family, acquaintances. Unless I'm
Yeah.
in a
Well,
class.
we were kind of tight. And of course, some of them had friends out of school that I didn't know that they would hang with, on any given time. And if I happened to meet them or whatever, some of the friends that they had, I couldn't stand. And I'm sure vice versa type of thing.